Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. What a fantastic crowd. This is the first crowd we've ever had where people were in a parking facility. Thank you. And let me thank Roxana and Melissa and Richard for their introductions. Sometimes it's hard to follow people who make these introductions because they leave. We've been in this race for 3.5 months, and the momentum from one end of this country to the other has been extraordinary, and that's what we're seeing here this evening. When we began this campaign all of 3.5 months ago, a lot of the media pundits were saying, you know, yeah, he's a nice guy, it's interesting, but who really is going to support the idea of a political revolution? Turns out a whole lot of people do believe that. And we have had not only the largest turnouts of any campaign in Iowa and New Hampshire. We just came back from Iowa the other day, but we have had great turnouts in cities all over this country. We just came back from the West Coast last week. We were in Seattle, 15,000 people out. We were in Portland, Oregon, 28,000 people out. We were in Los Angeles, 27,000 people out. And we've had just a beautiful turnout here tonight. But it is not just turnouts which speak to the enthusiasm of a campaign. We are running against candidates who will receive a bulk of their money from super PACs funded by millionaires and billionaires. Well, what I have said from day one, I don't believe in the billionaire agenda. I don't believe in the corporate agenda.
No, sir.
I don't want their money.
No, sir.
So what we have done, instead of hustling money from billionaires, we have asked working families all over this country to contribute. And as of today, we have more individual contributors than any other campaign, almost 400,000 people. And the average contribution, $31.20.
Thank you, everybody.
This campaign is on the move. This campaign is going to end up in victory.
Thank you.
What this campaign is about is bringing people together. Bringing black and white and Hispanic. Bringing male and female, gay and straight. Native born and immigrant. And here's why we're going to win. Because when we all stand together and we don't allow folks to divide us up in terms of whether we are gay or straight or black or white or Hispanic, when we stand together as one people, they can have all of the money, they can have all of the power. But when people stand together, we win. I am often asked by media to say, well, why is there such enthusiasm for the campaign? Why are people so excited? And I think the answer is pretty simple. And that is that the American people are sick and tired with establishment politics.
Amen.
They are sick and tired with establishment economics.
Amen.
And they are sick and tired with establishment media. People of America fully understand that corporate greed is destroying our economy, and that it is not acceptable that almost all of the new income and all of the new wealth go to the top 1%. That's wrong. The American people understand that our politics today is dominated by big money, by millionaires and billionaires who are determining who our new senators and congressmen will be. They are buying politicians, and the American people say that is not what democracy is supposed to be about.
It's corruption!
And the American people understand that corporate media talks about everything that you can think of except the most important issues facing our country.
You got that right!
And let me tell you how our campaign differs from other campaigns. And here's the simple reason. Yes, we have the most progressive vision. But what I will tell you is that no president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can do what has to be done for the middle class and working families of our country without a political revolution. Here is the truth, and it's the truth that no other candidate will tell you. The powers that be in Washington, Wall Street, corporate America, Koch brothers, huge campaign contributors, are so powerful that no president, not the best, can do it alone unless millions of people and loudly proclaim that this country and our government belong to all of us and not just a handful of billionaires.
For the people! For the people!
So I am asking your help to elect me as president, but I'm asking more than that. I'm asking for your help during the campaign, but I am asking your help from the day after the campaign as well.
Thank you! Thank you!
When millions of people with a strong, dynamic political movement of educated, politically conscious people demand that Congress start working for working families and not just billionaires, that is when we transform
For the
America.
people!
So that is the simple truth. It's not about me, it's about all of us. It's not about electing a president, it's about transforming our country. And I can't do it alone. I'll do my role, but you have got to do your role. When you talk to your friends, and they say, oh, politics, it's all crap, it's not important. You ask them why it is that the Koch brothers are going to spend $900 million on this campaign cycle if politics are not important. You ask them whether or not it's important that they have a decent job when they leave school. That's political. You ask them whether or not the climate, the planet that we leave to our kids is habitable or not. That's politics. The big money interests in this country, they want young people and all Americans to think, oh, politics, that's not important. Who cares? They're all crooks. It's all irrelevant. That's what they want you to believe. Don't fall for it. If we stand together around a progressive agenda that says to the billionaire class that they cannot have it all, says to the billionaire class they're going to have to start paying their fair share of taxes, says to the billionaire class that their greed is destroying this country, says to the billionaire class we are no longer going to have massive levels of income and wealth inequality. Now, when we talk about the major issues facing this country, one of the fun things about running for president is that you can raise issues that the establishment would prefer not to have discussed. And I'm going to talk about some of those issues this evening. I'm going to start off with one that has to be put squarely on the table. And that is, in this country today, we are living in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. But very few people in America understand that or feel that, because almost all of the wealth and almost all of the new income is going to the top 1%. The United States today has more income and wealth inequality than any major country on earth, and it is worse today than since 1928. Listen to this. In America today, the top 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, top 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
All right.
Today in America, one family, the Walton family of Walmart, that one family owns more wealth than the bottom 40% of Americans. Today in America, in the last 2 years, listen to this, the 14 wealthiest people in this country, 14, not a lot of people, saw their wealth increase by $156 billion. 14 people in 2 years, that is more wealth than is owned collectively by the bottom 130 million Americans. Today in America, 58% of all new income is going to the top 1%. This grotesque level, and we have to appreciate it for what it is. It is a grotesque level of income and wealth inequality, is immoral, and we got to use that word.
Corrupt! It's corrupt!
It is immoral for millions of people to be working longer hours and lower wages, and almost all of the new income and wealth goes to the people on top. It is immoral that when so few have so much, the United States today has by far the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth. This economy today is a rigged economy. The very rich get richer, everybody else gets poorer, and you and I are going to change that. We are going to create an economy that works for working families, not just billionaires.
Thank you!
This campaign is sending a message to the billionaire class, and that message is, you cannot have it all.
No!
You are not going to continue to get huge tax breaks when children in America go hungry.
No more! No more!
You are not going to continue to send our jobs to China and other low-wage countries when millions of Americans are in desperate need of jobs. You are not going to stash your billions in profits in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens. You are going to start paying your fair share of taxes. When we talk about economics, it is not just the unfair distribution of wealth and income. It is the fact that for the last 40 years, the great American middle class has been disappearing. In my state of Vermont, and I know in Nevada, there are people who are working not just one job. They're working 2 jobs, they're working 3 jobs, trying to gather and put together enough income and health care to take care of their families. People should not have to be working 50 or 60 hours a week.
It's not right! It's not right!
We need an economy that is based on principles that says if you work 40 hours a week, you're going to live with dignity. When we talk about the economy, it's not just income and wealth inequality. It is not just the fact that since 1999, median family income has gone down by $5,000. It is also the fact that real unemployment in America is over 10%, including those people who have given up looking for work and those millions of people who are working part-time when they want to work full-time. That's a fact. And let me tell you something else that is not talked about. We have a tragedy in this country in terms of youth unemployment. Not talked about. It is real. I asked the Economic Policy Institute to do a study for me looking at kids between 17 and 20 who graduated high school. This is what they found. For kids who are white, real unemployment and underemployment, 33%.
Ouch.
For kids who are Hispanic, 36%. For kids who are African American, 51%.
No opportunities!
We have turned our backs on millions of young people who want to leave their homes, earn a living, become independent. And what we have today is 5.5 million young people all across our country, not working, not in school, often hanging out on street corners, sometimes getting into trouble. Brothers and sisters, one of the great scandals of our country today is that we have more people in jail than any other country. More people. China is an authoritarian communist country 3-4 times our size. We have more people in jail than China does. To me, it makes a lot more sense for us to be investing in education and jobs than jails or Together, we are going to end this absurdity of America having more people in jail than any other country. And what we are going to move towards is a nation not with more people in jail, but with the best educated population on earth. And when we talk about the economy and high unemployment and income and wealth inequality, we also have to appreciate that millions of our fellow Americans are working at wages that are just too low. The federal minimum wage today of $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage. And together, you and I are going to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour over the next few years. Too many people are working long hours, and at the end of the week, in order to feed their families, they have to go to the emergency food shelf. That is not what this country is supposed to be about. It is not a radical idea to say that if you work 40 hours a week in this country, you should not be living in poverty.
It's not right! That's not right!
And when we talk about decent wages, I hope every man here tonight will stand with women and fight for pay equity for women workers. There is no rational economic reason why women should be making 78 cents on the dollar compared to men workers. When we provide for pay equity, women who are trying to raise their kids will be able to raise those kids with dignity and security rather than is the case today. Now, a lot of Republican politicians go around the country and they talk about family values. Have you heard them talking about family values? And this is what they mean.
Incest!
What they mean is that women in America should not be able to control their own bodies. I disagree.
That's not right! That's not right!
What they mean by family values is that women are not smart enough to be able to buy the contraceptives they need. I disagree. And what they mean by family values is that our gay brothers and sisters should not be able to get married or enjoy the other benefits of America society. I disagree. But when we talk about family values, let me give you my vision of what family values should be. I've got 4 kids, 7 beautiful grandchildren. My wife Jane and I have been married for 27 years. We believe in family, as I know all of you do, and we believe in strengthening families. And my family values tell me that the United States has got to end the international embarrassment of being the only major country on earth that does not provide for working families paid family and medical leave. And if there is any value that is a family value, it is paid medical and family leave. Let me tell you why. Today in Nevada, today in Vermont, a woman has given birth to a beautiful baby. And for that mother, that dad, that family, this is one of the important days in their entire lives, as every parent here knows. It's an extraordinary day. It's a pretty important day for the baby as well. But here's the story when we talk about family values. If that mom and that family have sufficient income, mom and dad will be able to stay home with that baby, get to love their baby, get to know their baby, get to bond with that baby in what are the most important days and weeks and months of a human being's life. It is an extraordinary experience. But, if that mom is low income or working class, if that mom does not have sufficient income, she will have to go back to work and be separated from her baby in 5 days, 8 days, 10 days. That is not a family value.
That's not right. That's not right.
And that is why I will fight to make certain that every family in America has at least 3 months paid family and medical leave. And furthermore, we have got to end the absurdity of once again being the only major country on earth that doesn't provide paid sick leave to our workers and paid vacation time as well. It's not widely talked about, but as a result of the collapse of the American middle class, our people in America work the longest hours of any people in the industrialized world. You guys know that? The Japanese are very hard workers. We work longer hours than do the Japanese. 100 years ago, workers were fighting for a 40-hour work week, yet today, 85% of male workers working more than 40 hours. 65% of women workers working more than 40 hours. At the least that we can do is to provide every worker in America with 2 weeks paid vacation. When we talk about the economy, it is also important to understand that our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our rail, our airports, our wastewater plants, we used to lead the world in the quality of our infrastructure. Today, many other countries are far ahead of us. So when we talk about rebuilding America, when we talk about creating the millions of jobs we desperately need, I will propose $1 trillion infrastructure program creating 13 million good-paid jobs.
Thank you.
Think about an America where our people are building and rebuilding our rail system, our airports, our water plants, our wastewater plants, our airports, and in the process, putting millions of people back to work. And when we talk about the economy, it is not only creating jobs, it is preserving jobs. You are looking at a senator and former congressman who voted against NAFTA, CAFTA, permanent normal trade relations. And I will help lead the effort against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We need a trade policy which tells corporate America they cannot shut down factory after factory in this country and send our jobs abroad. They're going to have to start reinvesting in America, creating decent jobs. And when we talk about our economy, we also have to understand that as a result of the greed, recklessness, and illegal behavior on Wall Street, our country was plunged into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression of the 1930s. What we have got to tell Wall Street right now is that if a financial institution is too big to fail, it is too big to exist. Financial system in which banks are lending money to small and medium-sized businesses so they can create decent-paying jobs. We don't need a financial institution, a financial system, which is an island unto itself, solely preoccupied by making billions of dollars for a handful of people.
Greed! It's called greed!
There are so many issues that are of enormous importance to the American people, but there is one issue that touches on every other issue. And let me be as blunt as I can be and tell you that as a result of the disastrous Supreme Court decision in the Citizens United case, the American political system has been totally corrupted, and the foundations of American democracy are being undermined. I wish I did not have to tell you that. I really do. But that is the simple truth. What the Supreme Court said 5 years ago is they said to the millionaires and billionaires of this country, they said, okay guys, you already own much of America. Now we're going to give you the opportunity to buy the United States government, and that is what they are now trying to do. There is, just as one example, Koch brothers are the second wealthiest family in America. This is an extremely right-wing family. They want to end Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, federal aid to education. This one family will spend $900 million in this election cycle helping and trying to elect candidates who will represent the rich and the powerful. This is more money, this $900 million, than either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party will spend. When you have one family spending more money than either of the two major political parties, brothers and sisters, this is not called democracy. This is called oligarchy, and we have got to stop it. Made a whole lot of campaign promises during this campaign so far, but let me make one to you. And that is that any person that I nominate to be a Supreme Court justice will have to pass a litmus test. And that litmus test is that he or she will make it absolutely clear that their first order of business on the Supreme Court will be to overturn Citizens United. But we have got to go further than that. In my view, if we are serious about having a vibrant democracy, something I believe in very much, I really don't care if people agree with me or they disagree with me. People fought and died to create a nation in which all of us help shape the future. I want to see every person here and throughout the country, whether you're conservative, whether you're moderate, whether you are progressive, I want to see you be able to run for office, if that is your bent, without having to beg money from millionaires and billionaires. And that's what a vibrant democracy is about. It's you getting up there and saying, look, this is what I believe in. And I want to serve, and I want to argue my point of view. I want each and every one of you who feel that you'd like to get in public service be able to do that and succeed based on your ideas and abilities, not on the amount of money you collect from wealthy people. And when we talk about democracy, let me mention this. A couple of weeks ago, I was in an event with Martin Luther King III. And what we were there doing was celebrating the 50th anniversary of one of the most important pieces of legislation passed in modern history, the Voting Rights Act. And what the Voting Rights Act said, as all of you know, is that after decades and decades of racist discrimination, the Voting Rights Act said enough is enough. In America, everybody has the right to vote regardless of the color of your skin.
Enough is enough!
But as some of you know, 2 years ago, the United States Supreme Court gutted a key provision of the Voting Rights Act. And what happened? What happened is that in Republican states, Republican governors and legislatures went to work trying to suppress the vote.
That's not right!
In other words, what they did very consciously, and everybody knows this, is try to make it harder for low-income people, people of color, older people, who would vote against them. They try to make it harder for these people to participate in the political process. Now, I happen to believe that when you run for office, you should have the confidence that your ideas will prevail, that you win elections based on your ideas and your abilities. You don't win elections, in my view, by being a coward, denying people who disagree with you the right to vote.
You got that right, buddy! You got that right!
And that is why we have introduced legislation that would allow every person in this country 18 years of age or older to be registered to vote. I know I'm here on a college campus, and let me talk about an issue that concerns families all over this country. Everybody knows that we are living in a highly competitive global economy. We need the best educated workforce in the world if we're going to succeed. And young people, that is you. And what that means is it is totally absurd, totally counterproductive to the future of this country that hundreds of thousands of bright young people who have the ability, who have the desire to get a higher education are unable to do so for one reason: their family lacks the income. That is why I have introduced legislation that would make every public college and university in this country tuition free. That is not a radical idea, that is a common sense idea. Think about all of the intellectual capabilities that we are losing when young people are not able to get the education they need because their family doesn't have enough money. Think about the lives that are shattered because people cannot get a college education. Furthermore, we are going to deal with this outrageous situation of high student debt. We have millions of Americans, some young and some not so young, who are being crushed by high student debt, paying off 20–25% of their limited incomes back to the government based on their loans. Now, it doesn't make much sense to me for people to be paying 6, 8, 10% interest rates on student loans when you can refinance your home for 2, 3, 4%.
That's not right! That's not right!
So our legislation says people with student debt can refinance at the lowest interest rates they can find. It also says that the United States government should be out of the business of profiteering on student debt. Now, people say to me, well, Bernie, that's a great idea, but it's a pretty expensive idea. They're right. It's about $70 billion a year. It's a lot of money. How are we going to pay for it? I'll tell you how. The working class and the middle class of this country bailed out Wall Street. Now it is time to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. It is time for Wall Street to come to the aid of working families. When we talk about our responsibilities as human beings, as adults, as parents, there is nothing that I can think of more important than that we leave this planet in a way that is habitable to our kids and our grandchildren. The debate is over. The scientific community, and I'm on the Environmental Committee and the Energy Committee. The debate is over. The scientific community is virtually unanimous in telling us climate change is real. It's caused by human activity. It is already causing devastating problems in our country and all over the world.
Facts are facts!
In my view, the United States must lead the world, working with China, Russia, India, and other countries, lead the world in transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And I want to tell you how campaign finance impacts just that one issue, not to mention many other issues. We have today the Republican Party, which controls the House and the Senate. There are very few Republicans who are prepared to acknowledge the reality of climate change, let alone propose ideas to seriously address it. Why is that? And the answer is not that Republicans don't believe science. The answer is that Republicans are dependent on the Koch brothers and big energy campaign contributions.
That's not right, Bernie!
And what I would say to my Republican colleagues, stop worrying about your campaign contributors. Stop worrying about your kids and your grandchildren. And there's another issue that we have to address. When I talk about what goes on in other countries around the world, let me mention, I live in Burlington, Vermont. All right. It's 1 hour from the Canadian border. Turns out that in Canada, all people have health care as a right. Turns out that in Germany, in France, in the UK, in Scandinavia, in virtually every major country on earth, health care is a right, not a privilege. In my view, the United States must join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care to all people as a right to a Medicare for all single-payer program. When we talk about bringing people together, it is important for all of us to understand that today in America, there are 11 million undocumented people. In my strong opinion, we have got to bring people out of the shadows. We have got to provide legal rights to the undocumented. We have got to pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. And I'll tell you something else. I am awfully tired about seeing Republicans trying to divide people up. That's what they always do. The Republicans are a party that want to cut Social Security, they want to cut Medicare, they want to cut Medicaid, they want to cut education, and they want to give huge tax breaks to billionaires. And they know that they can't win elections on a program like that, so what do? What they do is they try to divide us up. And one way they are trying to divide us up now is by trying to separate undocumented people from people who are born in this country. That is wrong. We have got to stand together and provide a path toward citizenship. And let me touch on another issue. In my view, in this country over the last many decades, we have made significant progress in trying to end discrimination. 20, 30 years ago, very few people would have believed that America would be mature enough to overcome its racist history and elect an African American as President of the United States. We did that. We have made progress in overcoming sexism, and in the last 10 years, we have made huge progress in the struggle for gay rights. We should be proud of it. But let us be very clear that if anyone here thinks that we still do not have a long way to go to overcoming racism in this country, you would be very mistaken. I know that I speak for everyone in saying that we will not accept seeing unarmed African Americans shot in the back or dragged out of cars thrown into jail. I was a mayor for 8 years, and I worked very closely with the police. Being a cop today is a very difficult job, and most police officers do it well. But when a police officer, like any other public official, breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. And we need also to understand that our criminal justice system is broken. We should not be having local police departments around the country in heavily militarized forms. What I did and many other mayors around the country are trying to do is move toward community policing, where police are part of the community, not seen as oppressors. We want police departments that look like the communities they are serving. We want to take a hard look at the use of force. We want to deal with minimum sentencing. Too many lives have been destroyed for non-violent issues. People have been sent to jail, have police records. We have got to change that. Our job is to keep people out of jail, not in jail. And I'll tell you something else. When Congress reconvenes in September, I will be offering legislation, introducing legislation, which takes corporations out of profiteering from running jails. And what we also need to do is to understand that when people are in jail, we need a rational path for them to return to civil society. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that if somebody leaves jail without an education, without a job, without money, without housing, and sometimes with mental health issues, that person is going to return to jail. It makes no sense to me. So we have got to provide a path toward dignity and back into civil society for those people who are leaving jail. I began my remarks by telling you that this is not just about me. It really is not. I can't do it. There has to be a political revolution where every person here and every person in America appreciates that democracy is not a spectator sport where you're watching somebody else do it. Democracy is you. And that means that you have got to work hard and you got to grab your friends who think that the issues we're talking about today are not important. You got to shake them and say, somebody has been telling you a crock. These issues are important. They're about the future of your life. Yeah. That's right. Maybe you should get some new friends. And you have got to go to your Republican friends who I think do not understand what the Republican Party is really about, and ask them, do you really think it is a good idea to give tax breaks to billionaires and cut Pell Grants, cut nutrition programs, cut Social Security and Medicare? Start talking to them. What I need and would like to see from all of you is to think big, not think small. Think about the kind of nation that we can become. We can be a nation which leads the world in very difficult times, trying to create peace, not war. Very shortly there will be a vote in Congress about the President's proposal, this negotiated agreement, to make sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon but to do it in a way without war. I support the president's initiative. When we think big, what we are talking about is envisioning a nation in which every American has health care as a right. When we think big, we are thinking of America leading the world in transforming our energy system and fighting climate change. When we think big and understand that in this country, the wealthiest in the history of the world, we can have the best child care system in the world. Every person should be able to get to college if they have the ability. That's thinking big. When we think big, we understand that in this great country, 45 million of our fellow Americans should not be living in abysmal poverty. And when we think big, we understand that nobody, no matter their race, their religion, their disability, or their sexual orientation, should not be able to realize the full potential of being an American. When we come together, when we think big, when we are prepared to take on the billionaire class, when we are prepared to do all of that, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. Let's go forward together. Thank you.